Hello and welcome back to the final whistle. I'm your host Nyan. As For this week's episode, we will have no talk footy as there'll be barely any fixtures that will be played over the Christmas break, and we will also have no sorry summarize. But we do have a 12 days of Christmas giveaway that we're doing. Without any further delay, we have our special Christmas guest, Cecil, who is an entrepreneur and a presenter for Arsenal Fan TV and most recently for CONCACAF. Welcome, Cecil. For anyone who doesn't know you, is there anything that I missed that you want to give the viewers a quick, brief introduction of yourself?
Right. So, firstly, thank you for having me as your special guest over the Christmas period. To the listeners, yeah, obviously Cecil Jee Thomas and here to give you just an insight. I don't really, do you know what? There's not much that you've missed, and I know from big up you, Nyan, as well that you've done your research. So I understand. We're going to get through a lot in this podcast. So there's a lot in the story. I'm not going to say that you've missed anything because I'm sure we're going to get into it throughout this podcast. So yeah, big up, man. But let's get into this. I'm excited for this one.
So yeah, thank you, Cecil.
Yeah.
Is it Cecil or Cecil?
Cecil, but yeah.
Cecil. Okay, sorry.
No worries, brother.
So to understand who you are to the listeners, so we'll just go back to the beginning. You have three brothers growing up. Is there one in particular that inspired you playing football, or was it everyone?
Yeah, so I have three main stepbrothers. So my half brothers, Kevin George, Bobby George, and Marvin George. So one of them was a professional footballer at Charlton Athletic. He went through the ranks. He went to West Ham, and this is when they were in the Premier League. So when I was growing up, I kind of looked at him, and that was Kevin as he was a professional footballer. I wanted that lifestyle. I wanted to be a footballer. I loved football. So I kind of looked at him in the sense of I'd love to have an opportunity to, at least try and get to a professional football club. So he was what I looked at. But then the other brother who I mentioned was Bobby George. He played a lot of non-league football. So I had a really big stint at Bromley Football Club, played a lot of county cup matches, which I've successfully won a lot in my time. And he also, he did the non-league circuit he played for Red Hill, Leatherhead and all that as well. So there was football amongst that side of the family that I kind of looked to. But Kevin was kind of the main person who kind of, I wanted that lifestyle. So I was like, okay, is there any way I can achieve that? And he actually did help me get into professional football through his contacts when he was playing. So yeah, I kind of looked to him, but my main inspiration was Thierry Henry and Arsenal Football Club, which I'm sure we'll get to as I mentioned in the podcast. But that's kind of that was my driving force of who I wanted to idolise and represent and be was Thierry Henry at Arsenal Football Club. But to help me get there was the main help was Kevin George, so who's my stepbrother. So yeah.
It's great to hear that you have a great supporting family members to help you achieve your goals. So you just mentioned Thierry Henry. I'm guessing my next question is, who was your idol growing up? I'm guessing it's Thierry Henry.
Yeah, it's Thierry Henry. I mean, when I was young, I say young. Well, yeah, when I was around the age of 13 to 15, was when I was similar to say Thierry in the sense of not footballing ability wise. Let me get that out there right away. I used to have a 0.5 all over haircut, so literally the same sort of trim. And I was a striker as well, had the socks up high, all of that. And I was inspired by him. And that was kind of what I wanted to be. I wanted to be Thierry Henry. I wanted to be the next Thierry Henry. So when I was young, when I was playing as well, a lot of teams that I played against or managers or even scouts would say, oh, he's like a young Henry. Obviously, not in the, again, the ability. I mean, I rate myself. I was up there, but I'm not going to say I compared an ability-wise to Thierry Henry. But that was just, I idolised him. I mimicked a lot of what he did. I remember even being in school and calling kids who were called Henry, because I wanted to, and I used to remember trying to learn French, trying to do the va va voom, trying to learn about, je m'appelle Cecil Jee. I really looked up to this man, and around that era, the Joga Bonito era, the gloves as well that he used to wear, all of that, I was fully involved. So yeah, that was just my idol, and I just wanted to play for Arsenal Football Club, and I actually fell in love with Arsenal through Thierry Henry. So yeah, that's kind of my idol there.
Yeah, I mean, he was a great player when I guess when he was at Arsenal. Now he's a great pundit as well, I'd say. I forgot what the presenting company is called, but he's with Michael Richards.
CBS. Yeah, CBS. They smash it. He obviously does a lot of the Champions League stuff, and yeah, he's just again. He's nowadays role models are for me. I just think a bit diluted, but
Yeah.
the modern, no, not the modern day. So the olden day like role models, when people used to look up to people, there was a reason for it, and they held like a lot of, had a lot of purpose, and they were real role models. And even to this day, like you just mentioned there, great footballer. For me, the greatest footballer that's touched the Premier League. So far, and then to go on now to punditry and what he's done in that, and still be prominent in today's society. I think he's a modern day role model as well as an old fashioned role model. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point that you said the word idol is kind of diluted because I guess social media has a big part to play when you can, I guess, idolize so many different people.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on, you had a day release. Was that through your brother's network that you managed to get the day release to go and try out for?
Yeah, so to get to so obviously day releases, they club will contact my school that I was at. So I was at Reigate School. And to the listeners that are obviously tuning into this, I got into professional football late, especially in today's timing as well. My first club was Crystal Palace I was 15. I went on trial with the under 16s, which to many people, again, that's late to get into football. Of course, there's success stories of Jamie Vardy getting into the game late through non-league and getting into the Premier League, and there's a few other anomalies that do that route. But most of the time, kids are being scouted from nowadays primary school age and going into academies very young. But I got into it when I was 15, and when I got released from Crystal Palace after about, I suppose I'd say about a month of being there, it broke my heart. But that was my first taste of being at a professional club. From before then, all I was doing was Tandridge League. I was playing for Monotype around the Surrey area, playing for the county as well. And that was my level. And I didn't really know how to get into professional football. So when I got to Crystal Palace at that age, it was quite late. And then I got released. But that me being released spurred me on to then want to pursue a career in football. And luckily, yeah, like you mentioned, through my brother Kevin George, he knew an agent called Errol. Errol was the guy that actually, he's done a lot actually for a lot of South London kids. His name is very recognised when it comes to bringing through footballing talents in the Premier League. He got me to Crystal Palace. He then said, there's an opportunity to go to Crawley Town to go to a training session, and that was again through the links of my brother and Errol. And I went to Crawley Town. I'd say, I was a bit more advanced. I'm very tall. I was athletic. I mean, coming from a London club, going to a club that's in like the Sussex area, I was a bit more advanced than the players that were under 16 level. So played a few matches that they really liked me and said, you're above this level. So they put me into the youth team, and I was training with the youth team whilst I was in school. And that's kind of when the day release came about. The club were asking if we could have Cecil to train with the youth team whilst they were training, Monday to Friday during school hours. I did that, and that led to one of the biggest training sessions of my life, where we got to play against the first team. And that's when the whole story kicked off. I trained against the first team and took on their centre-back, Claude Davis, the Jamaican international. And from there, the first team manager really liked me, did a few more matches, and then got offered my contract at 16 years old for Crawley Town, which again was quite late, but the day that kind of kick-started my career in professional football.
I'm guessing that was like a high for you in terms of your football career when you were that age. But from the documentary that I watched that you posted on your YouTube channel, you mentioned that your time there wasn't the best. Can you tell us more about the experience?
Of course. Like you mentioned, obviously at the beginning, like signing a contract at the age of 16 is a dream for many. You change your hobby into a career. And it was a big decision for me. But it was one I thought was the right one. And I really thought would be my life forever. As many young kids, I mean, I work with young footballers now, they think they sign a scholarship or a contract, a scholarship in a first year pro, and they think that's it, they've made it. And I thought the same. I signed it, and then I became a professional footballer, but it wasn't what I thought the dream was going to be. Obviously, like you mentioned, you watched a documentary that is still on YouTube now on my channel on AFTV. It was a hard time being a professional footballer. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. the politics of the game really got to me. I was promised the world when I signed. I was one of the favourites to be a professional footballer at Crawley Town, but there was a lot of problems at Crawley Town during the time. Financial issues, chopping and changing of managers. I had 6 chief exec changes in 2 years, 5 first team manager changes. There was no stability in the club. People weren't getting paid on time. My youth team manager became a bully through the pressure of the club, and abused a lot of the players. He made me leave when I say leave my mum, he made me move out and lied to me, and said you have to move into basically a cupboard. I lived in Crawley, in Bruvvas, in a cupboard room, just because they lied. They said I had to do it for professional football reasons, professional footballing reasons, but it wasn't that. It's because we were claiming housing benefit and had to pay off, the host family. And that really affected my mental health because there was no need for me to move. I lived close to the club. I was never late, and that affected my performances, as well as the abuse I was getting from my manager, football boots being thrown, loads of stuff. And it was very toxic at Crawley. So the dream, which I thought was going to be, my childhood dream of being a professional footballer, wasn't what it lived up to be, and it affected me. And yeah, in the end, after the 2 years, I got released, and I did try a few other clubs, but I made the mature decision at 19 years old to retire from the professional game and look to do something else. And and then from there, the story changes and life kind of excels. And yeah, well, I'm sure we're going to get into it. But yeah, that was my time at Crawley Town.
Yeah, that sounds heartbreaking, especially when that's been your lifelong goal. And you mentioned you went on a few trials and stopped at the age of 19 to make the decision to do something else. How many, if you remember, do you know how many clubs you went to, or?
Yeah. I mean, not off the top of my head, but we can run through them. This is so beautiful about a podcast. We can kind of talk through it. But yeah, so I got released at 18, and then the club shut down the youth team, the reserve team. They just kept the first team. And to this day, Crawley Town have not re-established a youth setup or an academy setup since my year. So we were the last to kind of have that. And after I got released, I went to the chief executive at the time and said, look, can I come back and train with the first team just to stay fit? Because I had a lot of options, because I'm going to be a bit confident in myself here and say, I was a very good footballer. So being released might have been the right decision for them, but I knew I had a lot of interest from other clubs. So my plan was to train with the first team and stay fit. Of course, people listening, in the back of my head, I thought, let me train with the first team and potentially nick and move here at Crawley Town. Luckily, I had a good relationship with the chief exec and the first team manager. So they granted me permission to train with the first team every day for free. So I wasn't being paid. I was paying out of my own pocket to go and train with the first team every day, and get there every day. And I'm going to go through the clubs that I went to, but just to give everyone the full picture, I was there every day, paying out of my own pocket, training with them. And at the end of the year, I played a few in-house games with the first team. We played against Reading under 23s and many other clubs. But I played a cup match for the first team, and they offered me a non-contract at the end of that. So a non-contract, just to give everyone clarity on that, is a contract where you don't get paid. So I got offered a 1 year with a 1 year option, but I turned it down. It was my dream to be a full professional, but to not be paid for a year after training with the first team for a year for free, I physically and financially didn't have the money as well to continue trying to be that. It was a big decision. It took me 2 weeks to say no to that, but that's just a part of the story. But yeah, during that time of training with the first team and going on trial, I went to Nike Academy, which was actually massive for me. That was when Nike Academy were kind of at the pomp, training in St George's Park, and training and playing against big academies likes of Man City and whatnot. And I was there for a long period on trial with them. They really liked me. I should remember the manager's name at the time, because that's so bad of me. But the manager of Nottingham, the manager of Nike Academy came from Nottingham Forest, and because of that trial and how much Nike Academy liked me, instead of actually signing for Nike Academy, they sent me on trial to Nottingham Forest, and that was my longest time at a club after being released, and was the most promising. They were really looking after me. I lived with a few of the trialists in the Nottingham Forest house. I was there the longest out of all the trialists that were coming in and out. I was there for many months. Really, they were giving me backhanders basically when it came to keep me there financially.
Yeah.
But there was talk of me signing. But yeah, in the end, after many months, they released me, and that was kind of the last club I went to, and was the club that I said I don't want to keep doing this, because I was being lied to every day. They really liked me. They kept saying, we're looking to sign you, blah 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 blah. But I was up against Tyler Walker, who I believe is still playing today. Tyler Walker is Des Walker's son. Des Walker is a legend at Nottingham Forest. It was a losing battle from the beginning, but I never knew that. I just thought Tyler was just another trialist, but the politics of it all, it was kind of set up that he was going to get the contract, but I never was told that until after I got released and found out that they offered him the contract. So that was my final straw. But between there, I went to many non-league clubs. I went back to Tooting and Mitcham. I went to Dagenham and Redbridge on trial. I went to Stevenage on trial. And I believe that I floated around the non-league circuit. People will probably recognise my face, not just from AFTV and the other stuff I do on screen, but obviously the non-league game, I was quite known around the time. Loxwood, I went to a lot of Sussex clubs. Billinghurst, I think I was at Leatherhead for a bit. I went to South Park on trial. I floated around. I was a non-league journeyman, but the main professional clubs were Stevenage, Dagenham, and Redbridge. There was probably some others, but I just can't remember. I kind of tried to block it out. But but Nottingham Forest was the last and the closest to me really getting back into the game. But after that, I just said, you know what? That was my level as well, by the way. That was in the Championship at the time. And I realised this is where I need to be if I don't get a contract here. I don't see myself ever making it to the Prem. And I don't think I'd want to be travelling around League Two and the Conference League. So, yeah. I tried at Brighton as well. Yeah, sorry. Brighton, Dartford. There was there was many. I mean, I think many players that are listening that they'll relate to this. When you get released from a professional club, you kind of look for home at many clubs. And if you have an agent, I never had an agent. It was just kind of word of mouth and my ability that got me to these clubs. But if you have an agent, you get to trial at many clubs. But and I had an opportunity to go abroad and play in Canada through my exit trial, but I turned that down as well. So yeah, that was a few of the clubs.
Wow, that's so many.
Yeah.
People can't fault you for I guess not trying. I mean, you did try. Like, you listed a bunch of clubs, and I guess you wanted to be at a level where you thought you could potentially make it to the Prem one day, which was your dream. And is that when you guess decided to take the Italia Conti scholarship?
Yeah. So again, people fall into the situation I was in when they get released and they don't know what to do. They're young. Football's been their whole lives. You don't really get much education. You get a level 2 in coaching. You get a BTEC in sport. There's another course as well that they're doing now, but you kind of have nothing, and it's really difficult. And like, kids believe that once they get released, they'll find another club and they will be professional footballers. So they'll continue trying to crack that whip of finding a club, and I just made a decision not to do that. I was lost at the time, and I remember my mum saying, "You're gonna need to find a job, a normal job." And I don't know, I couldn't, not that I couldn't accept that, because of course, like, what else are you supposed to do? But I just thought there's more to life than leaving football and then just going to a normal job. And a piece of context that you haven't said yet is my manager at Crawley Town, who was an evil man, said to me, "You'll never amount to anything more than this club in your life." And that stuck with me. And I don't know, that's probably my driving force in my life to say, okay, well, watch me. So when I left football, I mean, I had a bit of dance ability, but nothing serious. I mean, I used to dance in clubs. I used to do a lot of flips, which was kind of my tricks, my party trick. But I never was a dancer, trust me. I didn't really have much ability, but I had an opportunity to go to a dance convention called Move It, where the main brand of Italia Conti, the main school, was there, and they were promoting it. And yeah, they said, would you come down to a boys' open day? Obviously, around that time, being a dancer wasn't the cool thing. I mean, if anything, people, they looked down on me. They ridiculed me. Like I remember saying to a few of my footballers, "Look, I'm looking to get into dance," and that was through a woman who she owns an associate school, so she has a weekend school in Reigate of Italia Conti, and she just said, "Look, I'll look after you." And she kept asking me, "What am I doing in my life?" When I got released, and I said, "I don't." Well, I was going on trial at clubs at the time, but then it got to a stage where I was like, "Look, I don't really know what I'm doing. I need help." And she just said, "Yeah, go to Move It, speak to Italia Conti. They might have something for you." And they asked me to come to the boys' open day. I went. It took me a lot of time and courage to go, but I went to that boys' open day, and I don't know. It was a challenge. It was a new challenge, and I had a lot of, athletic ability due to football. I had a lot of, I was in shape, I was fit, I was strong, I was powerful, but I didn't have dancing ability. But they offered me a full scholarship after that boys' open day. So for context, again, that's like £12,000 across the 3 years of training. I believe it might be more than that now, or it might have been more. It might be more than that, but I'm sure it's £12,000 for the 3 years. I was quite naive and said, I was scared to do 3 years of training. So I tried to negotiate and ask for 1 year, which the principal did not like. She was like, "Do you not understand what you've been offered here?" Which I didn't. I was very arrogant. I was a young footballer trying something different and believed, this wasn't the cool route. And, I was just like, why can't I just do a year? And they were like, "No, you take the 3 years or you don't take this at all." It took me a lot of time. I went away. I had my summer. I went with my friends. I went out. I went to a few festivals. I actually got a normal job as well in the time in that summer period. And then the day of enrollment, the first day of Italia Conti, which I went to in Guildford, Surrey, the Arts Centre, I I was on the way back from a festival, and I said to my friends, "Just drop me off at the school." And they were like, "Are you joking?" By the way, I hadn't signed any forms. I hadn't signed nothing. I hadn't told them I was coming. I was still not convinced I was going to do this, but I just said, "Yeah, drop me off at the school and let's just see how the first day goes." And I went, after coming back from a festival, went straight to the school, absolutely knackered. I think my whole year hated me because my attitude was so poor. But that first day, I enjoyed it. And I said, right, this is it. I'm going to do it. And yeah, 3 years passed. And I mean, that training changed my life. And yeah, many things happened in those 3 years. But yeah, I went to Italia Conti after being laughed at, after being, I'm not going to say bullied, but really taking the peep out.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
By my footballers that they printed like I remember my first day I had a photo of me in a ballet leotard. They printed it out and put it around the change rooms at Crawley Town. I got laughed at a lot, but it was a risk I took, and it was the best risk I took in my life, and it really did change my life. So yeah, and I'm sure we'll get into it.
I mean, yeah, that's great to hear that what the manager said, and you took it on board and tried to show him that you can do other things and achieve big things. And you've been in a few of our county cup finals.
Yeah.
What has your biggest grassroots achievement been so far?
Oh, this is a good question. Grassroots achievement. Now, the Surrey Cups or the County Cups, no, it is really, I've only really done the Surrey ones, if I'm honest, have been massive for me. I have many of the open like book shaped medallions. I've got loads of them dotted around my house. And I honestly, I'm very proud of them, and I can't wait till once I have a little one, maybe one day in the future, I'll be able to tell them the stories. But I think my biggest grassroots achievement is, well, one, signing a professional contract from Surrey. I think that is, for me, is huge. I mean, when I was growing up, there wasn't anyone that I knew from Surrey or playing in county level football that signed to a professional club. I mean, I'm sure there was definitely people that had done that, but for me, there was no one. And I was always told, when I went to Crystal Palace, they were like, when I told them where I was from, they were like, "What?" They were like, "What? You live in what, Reigate, and you're here on trial with us?" And I never really understood it. But then the older I got, I realized, like, in the academies, there isn't many people from Surrey that sign. There's not many scouts that make it over there. Maybe it might have changed now, but definitely back in those days, it was all London catchment areas. There was no scouts coming to Sunday Tandridge League games. So that is one of the achievements. But I think one of the to give like people that are listening an idea of a way into it, and I think probably is my proudest grassroots achievement, was there's a photo somewhere on my Instagram. I captained Surrey football. So I captained the team. So yeah, that is my biggest achievement, I think, is being a captain, of the Surrey team, the Surrey County team. There is a photo online, and I'm very proud of that moment. And you know what? I never understood at the time, because you just at that young age, you just play football. You play as much football as possible. That is it. I think that's the best bit of advice you'll get as well from many people at that age. You'll be like, just play as much football as possible. And I got into the Surrey team, and I wasn't the captain. I was a striker. I wasn't the captain at first. And then I think for our biggest game against London, I was the captain at Red Hill Football Club at 16 years old. And it was just such a proud moment for me. So that is probably my biggest grassroots achievement. And I should really print that photo out. But yeah, that is definitely it.
Did you win the game?
Oh, people are gonna probably say you definitely didn't. You definitely didn't, because of the way I just reacted. But I can't remember. If you want the truth, I can't remember. If I'm being completely honest, I think we. No, I can't remember. Sorry, I really wish I had the answer, but it was so long ago. London were definitely very good, so I don't know. But hey, it doesn't matter. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's all right. I mean, that I guess the feeling of being the captain was, the most important thing to you that day. Yeah. And you were on Blood Brothers, which was the Arsenal Fan TV football team.
Yeah.
How are you recruited to the team?
Okay, this is a good story as well. It's mad that your research is crazy, because Blood Brothers is, I think it's a part of my life that no one's really asked me about. No one really speaks about, and it's an amazing series on YouTube. I think it's one of the best high-end YouTube football series out there. So big up you for even just knowing about Blood Brothers. But how I got into that was simply I left playing professional football, as we all know. Then I went into dance, as we all know. And I finished, I think I was in my third year at Italia Conti training. And then I wanted to do a bit more in football again. Because when I got released, I lost a lot of love for football. I actually hated the sport massively. I stopped kind of watching it. I stopped playing it. And obviously I just did my dance training. But I was in my final year and was missing football. And I remember speaking to a few of my football teammates of back in the day, and they were like, "Are you still playing?" And I said, "No, I'm not." And they said, "Why?" I was like, "I just don't like the game anymore." They were like, "Cecil, the level of football is not good. Like, you'd be fine. Like, come back." So I tried to find my route back into football, and I joined Cheeky Sport FC, which is Joel Bayer. I think people will know he's now on 5 with Rio Ferdinand, a very good presenter. So he opened up a YouTube team called Cheeky Sport FC, and it was built with a lot of the players from South London. Very good teams, by the way, very good team. And we dominated. We actually were unbeaten, and I was their main striker. And that's where I met AFTV FC. We ended up playing them in a friendly, and actually I think that video went out on their channel as well. So we played against them, and during that time, our team wasn't serious. And I think Joel Bayer got a bit annoyed because we weren't serious enough in training and whatnot. Even though we won every game, he was like, "We're not serious because we don't turn up to training and all this." And I was like, "But we're the best." And they were like, he was like, "I don't care. I want to take it further. And you guys just you're not taking it seriously enough." So he folded. And the cameraman at AFTV FC, he, at the time of when Cheeky Sport folded, he was filming that documentary that you've watched. He was filming that with me, which actually was supposed to be just a segment of me talking about my time at Crawley Town. But the production team really got engaged with the story and ended up doing the full documentary around me and obviously another guy, Jordan. So the cameraman of that documentary who was following me said, "Look, you're not at Cheeky Sport anymore. Would you join AFTV FC? And I was like, I'm starting to, enjoy the game more. We're having a bit of banter. The cameras are there, which many people, if you know me, will know I like the cameras, but I also like football. So it's a perfect blend. However, traveling from Reigate, Surrey to North London to train and play matches was difficult, considering I'll be honest, like I wasn't earning crazy money. Like I was still trying to find my feet in just life. So it was difficult, but I did it. I said, you know what? It's an opportunity that, I would just see where it goes. So every week every twice a week, I'd travel up to North London, train with the boys, and then play matches. And then Blood Brothers started. They started this YouTube series around the biggest YouTube teams. And I wouldn't even say I was a main figurehead of the series, if I'm honest. I just was part of the team. And I don't know, I think people gravitated towards me a bit because, I'm an Arsenal fan. I did play to a high level, but like I said, I wasn't one of the main characters of it because I had big characters in there. But it was a big part of my life because it introduced me. I was a fan of AFTV before, but I wasn't, I don't know, it was weird. I didn't know so much about it. I knew about obviously the obvious faces, the Troopses, and like, when Arsenal lost, I would see the reactions online. But yeah, I didn't know too much about it. I knew about Robbie massively because of the team. Like he was the main face of the team, and I knew about the channel, but I didn't know to the length and the depth of what I know about it now. But yeah, it was just kind of my introduction to the channel, playing for AFTV FC. And then just to give you just a little bit more context of it, I didn't actually meet Robbie until we played a final against DTFC. So we played a final and no, we didn't play a final, we played a semi-final against them, and I met and he came down. Didn't really get to meet him, he was just there. But at the end of the whole Blood Brothers series, AFTV hit 1 million subscribers and they threw a massive party at YouTube and the whole team got invited to that. That's the first time I properly met Robbie and realised how much of a genuine guy he was. And he did a speech about he wants like a fan community with loads of different fan channels. And there's a famous photo. I say famous photo, it's not famous, but there's a photo on my Twitter of me and him holding the gold YouTube 1 million plaque. But that was way before I actually ended up and landed a role on AFTV. And it's so funny. We always talk about, who would have thought from then of me playing for the team to now being one of the main presenters alongside him. But yeah, that was my introduction to AFTV, was the Blood Brothers series.
I mean, that series was really good. I watched it before I even did my research on you. I used to watch Blood Brothers, the series. Yeah,
amazing. Because I was gonna say, because people don't really put two and two together, and people don't. I mean, I know they had a big following. It got crazy views, but you never think. No, yeah, you never think that, people actually, it's weird. It's such a weird thing. And I know I sound so crazy saying this, but I'm on YouTube now. It's my career. But like, you don't realize actual people are watching. And it's so, like, people will say that. They'll say to me, oh, you played for AFTV FC. And I'm like, how do you know that? Because I play for the Wall FC now. And people stop me for that now. But like, when they say AFTV FC, you forget that, that was a whole thing. And Blood Brothers, like you said, it was a very successful series. And it's funny you brought it up because we're currently in the conversations of trying to bring it back or trying to do something to that scale. So watch this space. Yeah.
Oh wow, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I remember like there was a cameo from Ty.
Yeah. Yeah. Expressions for the they put on. He played against. Yeah, that was at Westway. Oh, that was hilarious. But yeah, and you saw him take off his hat for like, that was the first time I actually saw him take off his hat when he played that game. But yeah, Ty played. He's a good player. Listen, he's not bad as well. He's not bad.
I mean, one thing that I was shocked about Ty is that I didn't know. I thought he was young. Like I thought he was in his 40s.
No, he is. Sorry, Ty, listen, me and him are best friends, but he's a very old man. to say it nicely, he's a very old man, but a very, very kind-hearted and really pure guy. And I'm going to say this here because every time people stop me and speak to me about Ty, they always say, is he really like that? On my life, people that are listening and people that are watching and whatnot, he is exactly the same. He will argue with anyone that says anything bad about Arsenal, no matter if the camera's on, off, if you're in a the supermarket, on a bus. He's like that, and he is generally just the same as you see him. And I love him for it, man. He's a good guy. But yeah, he is an old man.
So 3 years into AFTV as one of the host presenters, I did see a post from when I was doing my research. I did see a post from Robbie that you put out a screenshot on LinkedIn. Was it through that you became a presenter by reaching out, or?
Yeah. Oh my God. Wow. Bro, big listen. Sorry, I love people that do their research, and big up you just quickly, because obviously I do this for a living. I'm a presenter as well, as much as people may see me as a personality or personality online. I have to do a lot of research when I interview people and have done some big interviews. So I understand the process of that. But thank you, because again, this is very good for people to hear that I got this job at AFTV through LinkedIn, and it actually does state that on the profile. But everyone always asks me as well. They'll say, "What's Ty like? How did you get the job at AFTV? And you know, is it a full-time job?" Those are kind of the three main questions. But yeah, so the second one is key. How did you get the job? And it was through LinkedIn. Robbie put a post out on there saying we're looking for 2 new presenters, 1 male, 1 female. This was during the COVID time. And to apply, you had to send a video of yourself. First you comment and then send in a video of yourself to the email address. I have the screenshot of that post because I'm very proud of it. 947 comments in that LinkedIn post. So that was the competition to get the role. And yeah, I didn't send a video. I sent the documentary. I said, "Look, Robbie, I've worked with your team before." At this stage, we still didn't. We met at the 1 million party, but he wouldn't know who I am because Robbie meets 1 million people all the time. So I just said, "Look," I sent him an email saying, "Look, I've worked with your team before. They filmed my documentary," and I sent the documentary to him. He then said, "Okay, look, let's have an interview." And as well as many other people, we went through a lot of rounds of interviews. And instead of hiring 1 male, 1 female, he hired me and James Bayliss. So we were hired, and that day, I say it a lot, it did change my life. Don't get me wrong. I want people to understand that I was on the path anyway. I think people think AFTV, made me, but before then I was doing many things, shoots. I was doing body doubling still, earning quite a lot just by myself I set up my company, Talent Transfer, which I still run today. That was going very, very well during the time. I was working with young footballers, and yeah, I was self-sufficient, self-sustainable as well. So AFTV didn't make me, but it did change my life considering what I get to do now. It helped me. So yeah, that was it. LinkedIn, signed up, loads of rounds of interviews. Me and James became victorious, and 3 years in now. Yeah, here at AFTV, part of the journey.
I mean, yeah, you feel like a glove, I guess, into the YouTube channel. And I saw a recent video with you and Turkish saying because of the bad negative light of how Arsene Wenger left, AFTV was kind of blamed for that, and Turkish kind of gave you your flowers for, I guess, featuring Arsene Wenger into the channel. I guess that was probably a big highlight for you as a presenter at AFTV.
Yeah, massive. And you know what? Yeah, let me keep it real. Do you know what? It's Christmas, and Surrey, you've been by my side, Surrey FA. So I'll keep it real. You said I fit like a glove, but don't get it twisted. I struggled a lot, especially coming into AFTV. Like, I mean, these are stories that I'm going to say here, but I hope I get to reshare them as well. But like, I came in and really struggled. I was compared to Troops because I came in as Troops was leaving. Troops is obviously a massive personality and someone who I have a very good relationship. We're very, very close. But I found it very difficult because I wasn't coming in to replace Troops. That was never the plan. As you may know now, the Bias Premier League show is Robbie and White Yardie and Ty. So if anything, White Yardie was Troops' replacement. But I got a lot of bad heat because I wasn't Troops. Who is this new guy? What's he doing here? Where has he come from? Does he support Arsenal? I had a lot to face and a lot of struggle. I had imposter syndrome because, you've come from a world where you know, people know you, but not to the scale of AFTV. I didn't realize how big the channel was. Honestly, even to this day, it blows my mind. So I had to adjust to that. The channel was going through a time where there was a lot of hate. I got into a lot of altercations with my own fans, serious altercations, physical, verbal. I've had other teams come at me for things that I had no control over before I was at the channel. Things were going through a transitional period. Some negative things happened, and I was getting the brunt of it because I was not the face, but well, Robbie took a step back, and I was kind of the guy on the ground and taking a lot of the heat. I had a lot of pressures. I had anxiety attacks for certain things because I had to adjust to people giving me hate live and direct as well as online. And yeah, it was a tough time. But like you mentioned, positives came and I grew into the channel. I found my lane. I stayed true to myself, the positive, happy fan. I work with footballers, so I never want to be harsh and berate them. Yes, I can have my opinion, but it's always constructive. It's never overly critical because I know what it's like to be a footballer. And I found a lane of being a presenter more than just having an opinion on the team. It's more to get the opinions of fans. And I found my lane and it really worked and it benefited. And I built relationships with clubs. I got massive interviews with the likes of Wenger, David Dean, who started the Premier League, who also was an owner of Arsenal Football Club. Me and Edu, the current sporting director of Arsenal, we speak regularly. There's many things that's happened. I've brought the club closer to the channel. I'm not trying to just blow my trumpet, but I want people to understand things were really tough for me and James as well, but mainly me because I put myself out there. You know, I did dances, I did raps, I went viral, I got death threats for things like that. I was in the papers, and it's tough. But through Robbie and the guidance of Robbie's gone through a lot. I learned to grow into it, and now I understand it comes with the title. Like you're a face, you're a personality, you're out there in the public, so it comes with it. Sometimes I think like that is harsh on certain people that, you know, just want to live a normal life, but you know, this is part and parcel of it. So yeah, but Turkish, he did highlight that this year, and I have to say this is the best year of my life when it comes to career wise. And I never reflect. I just look at the next thing. What's the next thing? How do we get better? How do we improve? But when Turkish did that you know, that acknowledgement of what I've done for the channel, it did hit home. And yeah, I'm very grateful for what I get to do. But it's never been about me. It's about, you know, showing the world, bringing the world closer when it comes to football and fans. And I feel like, you know, I really am bridging that gap. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, you've pushed on and you've gone on to do many things now. And on top of being an AFTV host, you're also an FTBL host, or you do some work with them. Can you tell us more about that and how it was to be in Buenos Aires when Messi won the World Cup?
Yeah, I mentioned it just a second ago. This year has been the best year of my life, career-wise, and that was the pinnacle, was being in Buenos Aires, Argentina, when Messi won the World Cup. And we'll go back to go forward. FTBL, you mentioned it. Many people don't know. People don't know that CONCACAF, they think, oh, you're the face of CONCACAF. They don't realize it's FTBL that made that. That whole transition came from FTBL and getting me that role. So for context, obviously I joined AFTV. That allowed me to be a presenter and be in the public eye and do what I want to do in that space. I went to an event. It was with classic football shirts, and I met one of the guys at FTBL, and he really liked my energy. I was just going around, so I met Sharky, Vuj, Nico was there. It was a really good event, but I was going around doing backflips as I am, crazy energy, vibes, all of that. And the FTBL guy was like, let's stay in contact. And I didn't really think much of it, but he just took my number, took my details. And the reason why I'm giving you the full context is because people listening, like, opportunities just come where you least expect them. This wasn't even an AFTV thing. They messaged me on Instagram. They said, would you come to the event? I came there, just done myself, be myself. And then the FTBL guy was there and he said, look, take my details. And then they pitched to me an idea, Cecil in the Wild. They wanted me to do on the street stuff, voxing, speaking to fans, getting outrageous statements and claims and predictions and stuff. And it was a really unique experience for me. Obviously, I think Robbie understands that, you bring people on AFTV, Robbie is like an academy. And I feel bad for him because he does so much for people's careers and does get a lot of heat, but he actually is a pioneer in this space and has changed so many people's lives. And granted, this didn't directly come through AFTV, but I wouldn't have been invited to that event if I wasn't on AFTV. So he was happy for me to do these things with FTBL. They paid me a lot of money. They're an American company for just little bits of content. And I like to be open and honest because I think when you do podcasts, it's the best way to give information and understanding. But they paid me a lot of money to do these pieces of content alongside what I was doing at AFTV. And it got to a stage with FTBL where they wanted me full time, but my loyalties lie with AFTV, and it was a very difficult situation. But I stuck with AFTV and stayed true to the person I am and Robbie. I owe him a lot, so I kept my loyalties there and stayed with him. But FTBL, what people don't understand is they moved on. I don't know if they'll be happy with me saying this. I did a lot of content for them, but they got to a stage where they were moving on from me. They were growing. Their YouTube channel built, their content on social media built, and you can see they've moved on from me because they went from me being in the street doing interviews and being at events and major games to doing more podcasty type stuff. What we do at AFTV, so more like they had the Stoppage Time TV boys come in, the Cams and Fuads and Moyo. They did a lot of content like that, very direct podcast, talk about the weekend fixtures, sit down, hour-long pieces of content, which, if I'm honest, it's not my bag. I can do it. I do it at AFTV. We talk football all day, every day, but I like being with the fans, energy, elaborate and quite exciting pieces of content instead of just sitting down with a mic in front of you. So they moved on from me, but CONCACAF came in and they wanted to start their TikTok. Now, FTBL, big up to them. They took a risk and said, Cecil, we know we're kind of, we're moving on, but we love your energy. We want to try something with CONCACAF where we launched their TikTok, and the route they want to go, they saw from FTBL, they saw both sides. They saw the content that I was doing and then what the new style was as well, because it was around the transitional phase, where they were kind of, phasing me out really. So CONCACAF said, look, we like Cecil, and FTBL said, look, we're going to do this. We're going to trial it. We're going around the world. Qatar from afar was the concept. They were going to go to all the CONCACAF host nations countries and just report from the fans' perspective of the countries while the games were on. Very ambitious. I didn't know what was to be expected. I actually didn't think it was going to happen. And a week before, I got the flight details saying, yeah, we're going. And that was it. I embarked on flying to America in the middle of November as the World Cup started, and just went to different countries whilst each game was on. Instead of being in Qatar watching it, we was at the countries where the teams were playing, and it was the best experience of my life. And I am very lucky that I've had major experiences. I'm wearing a Sidemen top where I was in the Sidemen charity match presenting, and nothing compares to going around the world and being in Buenos Aires for the final when they won the World Cup. It was pandemonium. It was something I will never ever get to experience again. I hold a lot of jealousy because I'd love that for England one day, and to be in the streets of London when we win the World Cup, but to do it in Argentina and see different cultures and experience. Honestly, I know I'm rambling, but the words can't express how incredible that was. So yeah, but thanks to FTBL and CONCACAF. And from that, again, I like to be open and honest because I think it's the best way to learn and understand the story. We launched a TikTok with 0 followers. I actually have a screenshot of us having 17 on TikTok. We got the page verified and we hit our target. Am I allowed to say the target? Okay. I don't know if I can say this, but our target was to hit 10,000 followers during the time of the World Cup and hit 7 million views. We hit 10,000 followers within the first week, and we hit 7 million views halfway through the time of the World Cup. We actually ended up having 100,000 followers by the end of the World Cup, and I don't know how many views, but crazy views. And if you look on my LinkedIn as you do your research today, they announced they've hit 1 million followers. So in a year's time, we hit 1 million followers, one of the fastest growing sports pages on TikTok ever. And yeah, I was a part of that, and now the face of their social. So amazing. Oh, I got a bit of shivers talking that through, but it's really cringy. But yeah, that's it. That was the FTBL and CONCACAF story, but amazing.
I was gonna say congratulations on the 1 million on TikTok, because I saw it on LinkedIn this morning.
Yeah. I saw it like they posted it, yes, because of they're in different time zone, but they posted it yesterday, but last night, and I'm planning a post as well, but I'm gonna wait till the World Cup final time of last year, so because it just makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm guessing is Messi your GOAT?
Do you know what? That's so funny. He actually is now, because people used to ask me that question all the time. Obviously, we do so much football content. And it was like, everyone was like, oh, Messi or Ronaldo. And I always said, which is a massive cop-out, and I know it. We're lucky to have both and live in a generation where we can watch two greats go at it. I don't think we'll ever have something like this again. So I never really gave an answer. But being in Buenos Aires and seeing Messi as their god, and just what he's achieved, and being there and understanding it, and yeah, his last World Cup, yeah, he's the GOAT, and he's an alien. He is, for me, he's the GOAT. So yeah, Messi for me. Messi. Sorry, I get excited.
That's right. I mean, I've never actually sat on the fence. I've always been Ronaldo. Especially when I first came to the country when I was like 6, 7. I watched Arsenal versus Man United Champions League. He just belted it from 40 yards. I was like, wow.
Screamer.
Yeah. But I don't support Man United. I support Chelsea. But
I thought it was after this podcast. All good. Interesting. Go. Okay, cool. Okay, fair.
So now that you mentioned CONCACAF, I just wanted to ask, how does it feel to be, I guess, the face of the socials for CONCACAF, and what is the experience like?
It's actually a bit overwhelming, because I haven't really taken it in. I'll be real. I don't tend to stop and take things in and look back. Again, like speaking about all this stuff is the only time I get to reflect on things, is when I go on podcasts and look back. But being the face of CONCACAF, I mean, I didn't realize how big of a union it is. Like, it's a confederation that is one of the biggest confederations in football. Like, it's when people put it into context to me, it's like, Cecil, you're like the face of UEFA. Like, imagine that, like, of their social, like, and I was like, oh yeah, that's basically what it is. But you don't realize, like, when I go to the Gold Cup finals, and the people that are in the tendencies of these matches are unbelievable. Like the head of FIFA, or like David Dean, for example, like little things like that. They're just there, and I'm sitting next to them, or I'm in the lobby with them, and you know, we're in state of the art stadiums. I'm in the SoFi Stadium on the pitch. Like there is not a point in my life when I was a professional footballer at Crawley Town that would have ever thought I would be on the pitch of one of the greatest stadiums in the world. Never. And even if I was a footballer, I never would have made it. Well, never say never, but I generally believe I wouldn't have had the ability to make it to a stadium like that. And here I am with the national team of Jamaica or the national team of Mexico, with them, alongside them, chilling with them, going out. I can say, so I have to always check if I can say certain things in my head. Went out with the national team of Canada. Like, we went out in Vegas, like, with Alphonso Davies in a club. Like, do you know how mad that is? Going out with the USA national team, like Serginho Dest, like Yunus Musa, like this is unheard of. And I don't ever really think about these things, but yeah, this is all because of CONCACAF. And like, I never saw this for my life. People always say, "Oh, what's your dream?" And they give me like, "What's your dream job?" or "What's your next 5 years?" And I'd never had that. I never really had a plan. I said, I want to do things that make me happy, and from football, I just have to just keep achieving, but I don't know what achieving looks like. I just want to do things that make me happy and just take everything with a smile and accept everything, because you never know where it can lead. And here I am, with one of the biggest confederations there is, traveling the world. And like, I've just come back from Jamaica. Never been to Jamaica. My family are Jamaican. My first time in Jamaica was through CONCACAF. Like, deep that. Do you know how crazy that is?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
First time in my home country, which I've is, by the way, embarrassing that I've never been there. I'm 28 years old, but I was taken there I was paid to go there and got to see everything in Kingston, Jamaica, taken around with security and escorted around and meeting people and being around with the locals because of CONCACAF. So yeah, and next year is the CONCACAF Nations League finals, which Jamaica have made history and got to. I'm going to be there in Dallas, in the AT&T Stadium, the largest stadium the largest stadium in the NFL in America. Like, bro, it's mad. It's mad. And yeah, I'm just very, very, I don't know how it feels. It's just, I'm very grateful and thankful and blessed. And I just hope people that are listening, take something from this, because I don't want it to just be, oh, look, I'm doing all these amazing things. I hope they're inspired or take from the story and can use it, because I always did that. People used to tell me stuff, and you take what you think works for your life, because that's what I did, and it led me to here. So hopefully, it's also beneficial what I'm saying to them.
I mean, it just shows, I guess, your hard work that you put in, and you've been in the right place at the right time, and you've made right contacts, and you've worked hard to get to the position you're in, and you've broadened your horizons, and you're even working with the Sidemen now, specifically Side Eats. So when did this start for you?
Okay, so I'm just gonna rep the top, because they love when I show them the top. So I'm wearing the top now from the Sidemen charity match that was given to me. So Sides came about by, funny enough, FTBL, which is again crazy to me, because look, I think people will think all this came from AFTV, and yes, it had influence, but and I know it came from FTBL because when I had the meeting, they mentioned the Cecil in the wild and me being in the streets and the energy that I'm with the people. So that's how it came about. But what it all started from, not this year's charity match, last year's charity match. So last year's charity match was at the Valley at Charlton Football Club. I went there as a +1 of Robbie Lyle. So a +1 to AFTV's Robbie Lyle. And you want the truth? Didn't really know too much about the Sidemen charity match. I knew about the Sidemen, of course, but I didn't know that was my first ever introduction to this game, this football match. Obviously, I've done it many years before that, but I didn't know. And I'm shamelessly going to admit this. I didn't even know who Speed was. Yeah. So I was in the stands as Robbie's +1 2 years ago at the Sidemen charity match, and was in the creators lounge. So it was with the YouTubers basically. I was sitting with Vuj. Robbie was late because he's busy. So he was late and he was getting bombarded, so he couldn't get into the stadium. He actually got in at half time. But I was sat by myself alongside some of YouTubers that I work with, Mclare or MK Frey, Vuj. And that's when I admitted I didn't know who Speed was, but everyone was loving him at the time. And then watched that game, kind of got familiar with things, and then took photos of my day. Got to go to the after party as well, thanks to Robbie. Wasn't invited at all, just to make that clear. They didn't have a clue who I was at the time. So went as Robbie's +1. He actually didn't have a +1. Sorry, Sidemen, but we actually sneaked me in. They just said, we just lied. Robbie was like, yeah, he's on there somewhere. He's on the list, but he's my +1. They were like, okay. And they let me in. I took photos of that, the experience of being at the after party. And then I posted it on Instagram, and I tagged XIX, which is their alcohol brand. I tagged Sidemen, obviously, that was there. I tagged their merch because they had a stall outside the game. I tagged Sides because they had their food there in the after party, and I tagged. I think that was it. Yeah, that was, and Prime. Obviously, I tagged Prime as well because they had Prime there in the Creators Lounge. So I did all that, and then a day later, someone DMs me. Sides, the official account DMs me and says, "Would you be interested in doing some content for us?" So I was like, "What the hell? This is mad." I said, "Of course. Are you crazy?" I said, "Yeah, I would love to." And I looked on the day they did with man like, I forgot his name. Sorry, it'll be on there. But they did like what I do with the mic and speaking to fans before the charity match. It was the guy that took Speed's boot. Was it Speed's boot? He stole a football.
Is it man like Isaac?
That's him.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know if I should be saying this, but he did that. And obviously they couldn't use him after that because they shouldn't have done that really. Even though I know there was an apology, they gave it back and all that. But so they were looking for a new host, and they contacted me. And then I had a meeting with them. They said, look, we saw your stuff with FTBL, and we see that your energy, and we like it, and you're good with people in the public. Would love to trial you, basically just doing content at Sides restaurants. So that's how it started, and I started doing little bits of Sides restaurants, just interviewing fans, doing some just general questions, and then we moved forward to doing events, which I like events, so it was very nice. I got invited to a lot of the boxing matches, the Misfits boxing matches. We did loads of events. I know restaurant openings. We did loads of stuff. We went to Gravity and Ones. We did loads of restaurant openings, and I don't know. I just really grew to it. I think the team really liked me. Yeah, they did. The Sidemen like production and management team really liked me just because I guess it was I met them. I was very professional, energy and all that, and the boys knew who I was as well, which was weird because they all follow the Sides accounts. They know who I was, and then on top of that, I did a prank with Simon with KSI years ago. That was my first ever YouTube video ever. I pranked KSI on Miniminter's channel, 4-point-something million views, and me and Simon have been close since then, and I owe a lot to him actually, because he pushes for. He does a lot of the decision making, I believe, in the Sidemen, just everything in the Sidemen. So he's pushed me a lot, and I know his girlfriend Talia, or his wife. Wife now, Sugar. Wow, she's from Surrey, so she's from Red Hill area. So I knew her before all of this. So that was a nice link there. And then from there we just did a lot of Sides events, and then. Let's just go straight into it. From there, I did all the content. I met the boys. Got me and JJ are very close. I know his security. I've known him for years. I've known JJ for years. I've met him many times. A genuine guy, very good. And the more work I did, the more I got to know them. And then I was out in LA. Was I in LA? Yeah, I was in LA with CONCACAF and FTBL. It was the day that the Declan Rice video dropped. I'm telling you this story because this was a lot of things happened in my life. Just quickly, I got given the AFTV role. I got the call from Robbie whilst I was in the gym, sulking because I lost out on getting a film the same day. So the same day I found out I wasn't going to be in a film through my dancing and acting and all that, Robbie rang me and said, "We want to offer you the role at AFTV 3 years ago." So I went and sulked in the gym. Then he gave me that call. It changed my whole mood. Again, the Declan Rice video, fast forward 3.5 years, I'm in LA. The Declan Rice video drops. I'm getting absolute caned online for the rap that went on social media. Went in the Sun newspaper, Sport Bible. There was articles about how embarrassing I was. Loads of things. I got death threats, all of this BS, excuse my language, but all of that because of that video. Mentally, I was on the floor. I had to go out and film for FTBL and CONCACAF, but I was in a bad place. That same day, I was in the car, mentally on the floor, on the way to do a shoot with CONCACAF when I tried to cancel it because I was my phone was basically inactive. My Twitter was going off. Sides rang me, the guy from Sides, and said, "I've got good news and bad news." I said to him, "I'll be honest, right now, I can't deal with bad news. I'm in a really bad place, but I'll take the good news. He goes, okay, well, the bad news isn't really bad news, so I'm going to say the bad news first. I said, okay. He said, the bad news is we're not going to have you covering the Sidemen charity match. Because basically, obviously, I do all their major events. He goes, we're not going to have you doing the Sidemen charity match and speaking to the fans. So I was like, great. That's killed me because I was looking forward to doing it. So that killed me. I said, okay, that's fine. What's the good news? And then they said the good news is they want you to present on the Sidemen charity match. And I went, what? He goes, yeah, they want you to, they said, they want you to be like in the crowds, in the changing rooms, before the game, all of that. So I hung up the phone. I actually dropped my phone and then picked it back up. I said, I'm going to have to call you back. So I hung up and then my head was just in a million different places at the time. So yeah, my head, so it was in a million different places. And then I said, okay, whatever. I got on with my day. Went and done the filming with CONCACAF. My mood was a bit better, obviously, hearing that news, but I didn't understand what they were saying. I thought, I just didn't get it because I shouldn't be there. I shouldn't be, like, if you look at all the people that are on the stream or in the game, little Cecil from Surrey should not be on that stream. So then I did a phone call the next day and rang them up. I said, I just want to be clear. You rang me yesterday and said they want me to be part of the stream. Now, just explain that. And I said, is that mean I'm doing in the fans and all that, being on part of the actual live YouTube stream? And he said, yeah. And then from there, the rest of that trip was incredible. And then I came back, and then a week later from coming back from doing, I think it was the Gold Cup in LA, I had the Sidemen charity match. And yeah, again, one of the best experiences ever. Didn't sleep that night, the night before and the night after. Probably one of my biggest jobs to date. I mean, yeah, you can check it. I don't know what it's on now, but it's probably over 30 million views. People still to this day stop me and say, I can't believe I saw you on it. Honestly, it's mad to me, bro. Mad to me.
I mean, I don't think you should downplay yourself by saying you shouldn't be there. I think you've done great work previously to land that opportunity. And I know you meet celebrities frequently. Is there any like a standout celebrity you think could play from your point of view, because you've seen the levels, semi-professional or professional? And I'm not gonna allow no bet because I think that's a cop-out answer.
This is difficult actually because listen, Philly's good, but he's played. I mean, I don't know how he is now because I know he doesn't train regularly. We do chat, but Philly's good. Simon is a very good player. To play professional though, it is another level. And like, big up Manny and Toby. Obviously, they were at Crawley Town as well, training with the pros, and I think one of them signed as well. One of the brothers. I recently played against UTR as well, and Manny is very good. So those people that I've mentioned definitely, I believe, can play to a level, and they're good footballers. Like, they can play to a level. I don't really know any rogue answers. I'm trying to think like ones that just people wouldn't expect. Like, I don't know. I know SV2's good. E-Man. I know Moyo is good. He's a guy that is a TikToker, very good. Your boy Moyo. And then Toby from Love Island. He's very
hashtag.
Yeah, hashtag. He's very good. So I did a tournament with Boohoo Man, and me and him were the strikers, and he's a player. So he plays to a level that is. I mean, I don't think the step from that to conference or League Two, I think he could do that quite comfortably. So him and PK Humble, also again at hashtag, he's a very good friend of mine. He's a baller as well, and he could play that level. But yeah, so those names, those are the names really, who I think could do it. And then obviously, I'm not even going to say me anymore. Actually, I've come out my prime big time. But yeah, those are the kind of the players. So, yeah.
I mean, that's, I guess not many people would know. I mean, if you watch Love Island, they'll probably know Toby, but not so much PK. But yeah, I guess that is a rogue shout for people who don't watch hashtag or
100%.
or watch non-league. And so most people know you for your time as being a presenter as AFTV, CONCACAF, Sidemen charity match.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, I guess, the viewers more about the talent transfer that you run?
Yeah, so Talent Transfer is a company that I set up when I was at Italia Conti. So when I was training as a dancer, because of the way I was treated as a footballer, right, I wanted to give back. And now everyone I speak to, what I believe the dream is, right, is being able to inspire and give back to the next generation in any way that is, whether that's setting up a school, funding a pitch, I don't know. That is the dream for me, being able to affect the next generation and have a legacy. So I wanted to give back. And the way I wanted to do that was be able to speak to young players and just basically ensure that they don't go through or be treated the way I was as a footballer, because how I was treated was awful. And that shouldn't happen in any industry. But when you're a young, vulnerable player trying to achieve something and you rely on someone to show you the best way of being a professional footballer and it's tarnished by the way you're treated, I just feel like that shouldn't happen. So I wanted to just set up a company where I can mentor young footballers. And then it never really was to be someone to look up to. That was never why I set up the company. Like I said, it was for giving them an idea of how they should be treated when they sign a contract, and then also show them that football isn't the end of your journey. So, you have many chapters in life. If you don't make it here, there's still more chapters to write. This is not the end of the story. So that was kind of it. You can transfer your talents into other industries. That's why the company's called Talent Transfer. But it was never be inspired by my story. However, the more years that have gone on, it's kind of developed into, again, how you should be treated, the best ways to achieve a professional contract, because I have like tips and tricks that I never was told when I was a footballer, how to transfer skills from football into the real working world. And then again, this is not the final story. There's other things. There's more to life than just being a footballer, floating around non-league or floating around lower leagues, or I'm not going to say being a professional Premier League footballer, because I never made it to that level. And, to many people, that is the dream and always will be. So I set it up in my second year, and then I banged on a lot of doors. I emailed football clubs. I messaged the PFA. I went everywhere with it. I sent emails. I had phone calls. I was like, look, I have an idea. I really want to do this. Please, can I come into just give me an opportunity to speak to some players. I had got the door slammed shut in my face. What makes you so special? Everyone gets released. There's many people in the same position as you. Why? Honestly, I cannot tell you how many people said no to me. And then my educational officer, when I was at Crawley Town, my LFE officer, LFE stands for League Football of Education. So when you sign a professional contract, you have to do education 1 day a week. His name was Gavin. I messaged him and I said, look, you know my story. You know I was dancing whilst being a footballer, and I had other passions, and I'm now, I'm living those other passions. Can I get an opportunity to go to one of your clubs? And he said, look, it's a risk, but we'll give it a go. I'll give you 3 clubs, which were Stevenage, Millwall, and Dagenham and Redbridge. You're going to go there, speak to the scholars. You're going to speak to the under 18s. I don't know what's going to happen here. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Right. I went there. I had a PowerPoint presentation of just my time as a footballer and a few other bits. Right? After my workshop, firstly at Dagenham and Redbridge, the response was incredible. Questions galore. The club said this is the longest time they've spent with an external contributor after a session. So I think was there for like over an hour, just asking questions and giving advice. That was the first one, by the way. The second one was Millwall. Nothing really happened from Millwall, if I'm honest. They took on the story. Nothing really happened. The third one was Stevenage. After the Stevenage one, a kid come up to me and said, I don't know if I want to do this. I love playing football with my friends, but I know when I sign professional, things get a lot different. You lose a lot of time with your friends, family, and it becomes very serious. I don't know if I'm ready for that. I didn't know how to answer. I didn't have the answers for that question, but I told the clubs and I told the LFE, and they just said, look, we need this workshop because players are saying things that we can't even get out of them. And it was around the time of the mental health epidemic where, you know, it was good to talk about your feelings. So the timing was perfect for the company starting. And then, and then later on at Stevenage, one of the players came out to the physio and said Cecil spoke and he opened up about his feelings. So the LFE said they knew they needed this workshop. And then from there, bro, I think it's 7 years in a row. It's been recommissioned, and I've been going up and down the country, going to clubs week in, week out. I now speak at PFA conferences. I speak at LFE with staff. I speak with players, parents. It's something I'm most proud of because it's mine. It's my baby. It's my company. And again, it's what I've always wanted. I've affected the next generation of footballers. I could talk about it all day. I don't want to keep boring the listeners, but like the other day I was playing against SE Dons and one guy came up to me and was like, you spoke at my club when I was at Forest Green Rovers. You spoke here. Now look like we're playing against it. And I just was like, wow. And one other kid, not even a kid, an adult, he was like, I'm pro at Swansea and you came to me when I was under 16s. And I was trying to say, well done for everything you're doing. And part of my workshop is some of the success stories as well and voice notes I've got from players that are still playing today. So it definitely has an impact. It's definitely worked. It definitely works. I must say, there's still more still needs to be done with players that are being released from clubs. Of course, you're never going to fix everyone. You're never going to, there's no way. Like the numbers are out of 1.8 million, no, out of 1.5 million, only 150 make it to the Premier League from youth level. So it's a 0.012% make it. So to fix that statistic is going to be impossible, but there is definitely things in place, and we've come a long way from that stat. That stat I think was birthed about 5 years ago. So that probably has changed now, but there's been a lot to benefit and fix that, and I'm glad to say I'm a part of that. So yeah.
I mean, yeah. You've just mentioned that you've had a few players message you or come to you in person. I mean, it shows that you have contributed back to your community. And just to like kind of go to the last segment, I got an audio that I'm gonna play you.
Okay, interesting. What's this? What is this?
Don't try to explain your mind. Know what's happening here.
I'll just call it this.
Do you recognize the audio, and can you tell us more about
it? Tune! Come on, Jordan Sparks and that Battlefield. And you know what? Listen, when you obviously we spoke before we started rolling, and that was brought up about there's going to be an audio. I didn't have a clue what he was going to play. And I was wrapping my brain. I was like, maybe it's my birthday video that I released. Maybe it's, I don't know, something from the documentary. I didn't have a clue. But yeah, obviously that is, I don't know if that was my first YouTube video, but it was my GCSE dance video soundtrack that I chose, which I got, by the way, hold tight. Make sure you get educated. People that are listening, young viewers, focus in school. I got an A star in dance, and that was the song that I used. Big up me. But that was a track I used for my GCSE dance, which I choreographed, which, by the way, I think was horrendous. If I'm watching it back now, I just think, wow. Like, I thought I could dance. I couldn't dance then, but obviously I'm now trained. But yeah, thank you. I mean, that just brings back memories of being in school, Reigate School. What a legend. What a day.
I mean, yeah, I put that audio out just so that we can go into this bit of your life, which is dance. I don't think not many people know about it. And on top of your busy schedule, you used to teach. Used to be a dance teacher. And I just want to ask, like, when did you start dancing?
So it has been a part of my life, but I was never a good dancer. Like I mentioned at the top of the podcast, like I used to do, like I was a club dancer really. Like I used to like to dancing clubs, do like trending dances, the Millie Rock, Dougie, like all those sort of moves, you know what I mean? Like hitting the wall and all those sort of things, like Fortnite dancing, basically. I don't know. I just thought it was like a form of expression, and I always thought it was cool to be up to date with the dance trends. And obviously being Jamaican as well, it's quite big in our culture of just being like dancing and expressing and doing all the dance crazes. But a professional dancer is a long way from dancing in a club. So when I was in school, at Reigate School, funny enough, I got awarded gifted and talented in year 9 because I got moved from set 2 to set 1 in geography, history, maths and English. And they gave me a scholarship to the weekend school, which I mentioned, the woman who owned it, Janine, she allowed me to come every week to there. And I kind of learned the basics of dance going into it. But again, it wasn't cool. I didn't turn up most weeks. A lot of the weeks I was playing football or watching Arsenal. So, but I used to go there every now and then. And I learned a little bit of dance. But then, yeah, after I left there and left school, I went to played football. Dance left my life. I used to do celebrations when I scored doing backflips. And then towards the end, I went back to that dance school on the weekend and then fell into going to the main school. But the period between football and starting Italia Conti, I used to teach dance just to earn like I said, I didn't have money because I didn't have money. I left playing football and I had to find a job. And one of those jobs was teaching dance. I was also being a primary school teacher at Salford's primary school, where I came in as a dance teacher, but then started to take over and do the P lessons and after school clubs. Thanks to Martin Beard. Yeah, Martin Beard, who RIP has passed away, but he was the head teacher at Salford's. But he gave me the opportunity to teach kids their PE lessons and stuff. So, and I used to teach dance, and yeah, it was just a money earner. But it wasn't it wasn't a massive part of my life. It wasn't a massive chapter, but it was a part of my life that allowed me to work with young people and also it just kind of dance. Just learn to hone in on my craft of dancing. So yeah, that's kind of that.
I mean, from what you've just said, I was gonna ask you who your dance idol is. I'm assuming you don't have one, or do you have one?
I do. So when you apply for a performing arts school, so like when I applied for Italia Conti, you have to give that. They say, who is your dance idol? It was a bit of a lie at the time. It was Carlos Acosta. He's a ballet dancer, one of the most renowned ballet dancers ever. He's from Brazil. His dad was very tough on him, wanted him to be a professional footballer, but he ended up being a dancer and being one of the best ballet dancers the world's ever seen. And I just emphasized with the story because obviously I played football and then went into dance. And at the time it was a lie because I didn't know too much about him. I just researched him and I didn't know much. I was like, oh, this is easy pick. Dance, ballet dancer, cool. But as I trained and I learned about him, I was like, and I learned how difficult ballet was. I was like, he is the guy. Like, this was such a good choice. And it made sense. So, the actual inspiration was him. Well, no, it wasn't him, but the actual inspiration for people that know about dance, I would say him. But my actual dance idol and performing idol is Chris Brown.
Okay.
I literally, and again, that was in my application, I put him down as well because as a showman, as a performer, he is the best, hands down. And I've been lucky enough to see him, be very close to him and his team. And yeah, so Chris Brown for me was my idol in the performing sense. So those are the two, Carlos Acosta and Chris Breezy. So yeah.
I mean, I think your time at dancing has kind of replicated to your I guess time at just being presenter, being more confident. And I've seen a lot of comments online saying you're a Manchester United fan because you did a bloody double for Marcus Rashford.
So
is it
on?
Okay, carry on.
No, I was just gonna say, like, so this is the things that people don't see, like, and people will say, like, So I listen to obviously Chunks and Philly. I'm lucky enough, but I'm a fan of these people, but also know them. And these are the stories where they say like, "Oh, do you read the comments?" And they shouldn't affect you, but I see everything, and you can't not. And on top of that, of course, if you see it, it's going to affect you. So there is a photo of me online in a Man United top, which got put on Twitter and got over 1 million impressions. I got called a fake Arsenal fan, all of this, but it's still on my page as well. Like I will never take it down, because what people don't understand is, yeah, I'm a body double. Like I do all of Rashford's shoots. Everything you see online, everything you see on TV, all the adverts, you see Marcus Rashford, most of the time it's me. Yes, he comes in, he does about an hour on set. We do about 8 hours. But a lot of the time, what you'll see, tomorrow, I was supposed to be going to Manchester after the Arsenal game to do another shoot. It only literally cancelled yesterday. But I do all his adverts. So I'm very close to the family. I'm a fan of Marcus Rashford. I'm not a fan of Man United. I'm a fan of Arsenal Football Club. But I have an affiliation with Rashford because I've been doing his adverts and body doubling him from when he first came through. I speak with his family regularly. It's deeper to than just what people don't understand. It's not just football to me. I have relationships with a lot of these players. And that photo went online and it killed me. I was getting again death threats from my own fans, hate and abuse from everyone. People were doing videos on YouTube about it. Like people were stopping me in the street. Like it's stopped now, but you're a United fan. You're an undercover United fan. It's the same. And you know what? I empathize with Robbie, because Robbie gets tarnished as a Luton fan, which is ridiculous because he grew up in Luton. And people just say you're a Luton fan, and because of that, like, it's ridiculous. Like they try and tear you down when you get to a certain level. They try and find any excuse to pull you down, and it's really sad because I always try and see the best in people and in life. So, but I had to adjust to that. I see the best in everyone. I try and see the good in everyone. So, but being in this space, you have to realize that not everyone thinks like you and, has a clean heart. That United photo is a pain in my backside, but I will never take it down because it represents what I do today and working with doing one of my favorite jobs, which is body doubling. And it's not just Marcus Rashford. I've done Aubameyang, I've done Ollie Watkins, I've actually body double Rio. I did Dele Alli as well at a point. So yeah, there's a lot. There's many other players. I've actually missed off loads, but yeah, it's something I do as part of another thing of many that I do. But yeah, that is one thing I do enjoy. So yeah.
I mean, I guess people should really do their research before, I guess, putting things online, especially the Man United one.
100%, but the internet doesn't care about context, and that is one thing I learned. Like, they don't care. No one's gonna, and I don't expect them to research everything and get the full story, full picture, because, and I listen to many podcasters that say the same thing. And like, so for example, the Christmas top, me printing the Premier League Christmas. Yeah. So that went absolutely viral. And like, I will never live that down. And people will laugh at me till I'm probably dead because of that video. However, there's context to that. Like I told people on AFTV, I'm going to do this. I'm going to wear it for the month because I'm traveling the world and I want to be proud of my club being top of the Premier League. That position will not change for the whole of the World Cup. So I'm going to wear it for that. And then as soon as the World Cup's done, I'm going to throw it away. But I did the Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. And the internet just said, F you. We don't care about your context. You're an idiot. But that's fine. So I'm used to that now. I've learned from that. But yeah, man, it's part of the game. Charge it to the game.
So you've done a lot of commercials and adverts. Is there like any acting gigs or commercials you've been very proud of?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, this is a nice question. No one's asked me this question. Oh my days, no one's asked me this, and I can't pick one. My first ever advert was for McLaren. Yeah, big flex, big name drop. I will pick it up. Big one. I went to the McLaren offices in Woking, and we filmed an advert, and I got to sit in the car, and you know, that was my first ever advert. And I don't know, one holds a lot of weight with me, because it was my first, and it's McLaren. I've got the gear as well. I kept the gear that I filmed in, so I've got all the racer gear. So that's up there. Another one was the Hope United campaign. I have the top upstairs. So I did the Hope United, which is against discrimination and racism and bullying online, with Rio Ferdinand, Rashford. I was body doubling Rashford. I met Jordan Henderson on that one, Trent Alexander-Arnold, many footballers. It was really good. So that one, because of the message, that one holds a lot of weight with me. But you can't see me in that because I was doubling. I did the Levi campaign for Rashford. Jaden Smith was in it, and Rashford didn't turn up to the shoot because he played Man City the day before and got injured. So that advert is literally all me. I know it's me. Probably now, if you watch it, you'll know it's me, because he didn't do any of it. He did one scene of it, and it's a green screen of him in his garden, but it's him. I don't know if I can say that. It's him. It's him just talking to the camera. But the rest of it is me. That one was big for me because you can see it's me. I think McLaren's number one. Number two will be my biggest. It's not an acting gig, but it's the Little Mermaid. Being in the Little Mermaid, having a credit actually on my name on the credits, being seen on the film on the big screen. Actually, that's number one. Number two will be McLaren. But that's number one. Yeah, number one will be the Little Mermaid. That's I left the industry of dance and performing arts because I'd done that film. My biggest goal in the industry was I want to be in a film, and I achieved it because I didn't get the film when I took the job for AFTV. I lost out on the original film called The Greatest Days. I was supposed to be in that. I lost out on that, so I said I want to be in a film, and doing the Little Mermaid tick that off the bucket list. So yeah, that.
I haven't seen the Little Mermaid. Could I ask like what character you are in the Little Mermaid?
So it wasn't like a character. I was booked as a dancer on it, but then I ended up being like a featured extra. So I know that sounds quite naff, but it was actually a paid, fully entitled, like I said, credited role. I was with Ursula, for the Little Mermaid fans, before she turns into the big octopus creature. She's having a wedding, and I'm with her. So you see me on screen with her, just talking to her. But yeah, so it wasn't an official. Well, I think it is on the credit. It is an official role, but it's not like I couldn't give you a name of a character. It's not like I was the crab, Sebastian. But yeah.
So is acting in the future for you? Are you going to go for more roles, or?
I don't know. Everyone in this space. So if you look at I shouldn't do an umbrella quote. Majority of this space of YouTubers, they always say, "Oh, what's next?" And they're like, "I want to get into acting. I want to do acting. I want to be like." A lot of them say that. I've trained in acting, so I've done a play, and I've now done a film. Of course, I wasn't the lead actor, so you can't really say you've officially ticked off. But I got so much from being on the Little Mermaid film set, Pinewood Studios for a month, and then flying to Sardinia in Italy for 2 weeks. Seeing it, realizing I would like to do it, but it's not like top of my list because I don't think it will fulfill me as much as many other things that I haven't really got my eyes on. But I think there'll be other things out there that I'd feel more fulfilling. So yeah, acting's, and also my best friend is an actor, Purcell Ascot, and a very successful one, done Netflix films and stuff. And like, I wanted to be that. I looked up to him and inspired to be him because of that. But seeing the way my life is going and the way his has gone, don't get me wrong, he's very successful and doing very well. But I feel like I'm on the right path, and that's not going to acting. And if it is going to be that'll be later on in my life. Like, you can become an actor at any time. So yeah, I mean, if it comes, it comes, but it's not top of my priority list.
And you said on the podcast you got a lot of stick for the Declan Rice video.
Yeah.
But will there be any more future songs from you or dances?
Very cheeky. No, I'm joking. any more. Oh, my weakness is singing, so there won't be any songs. And the amount of stick I got for doing that, and people coming up to me saying, "Please stop the singing," and dancing actually, but I'll never stop dancing. There won't be any more songs. Well, I said never say never, because content is content. But like, there's not plans for any songs coming. But the January window is opening very soon, and I'm not going to say well known, but I'm a part of my skill set is creating the welcome videos for the players. They're very popular. Some will say they're not very popular because they're not loved by many, but they are very popular, and the club really enjoy it. The players enjoy it, and it's something I take pride in creating. So the welcome videos will be back. I don't think singing will be part of the agenda this period, but there will be some entertainment in there. So yeah.
If I guess if Arsenal don't sign anyone in January, maybe if potentially if Arsenal win the title, maybe.
Arsenal win the title, boy. Boy. A lot will happen. There might be songs, there might be dances, there may be flips. There could be. Do you know what? I don't know what happened. I remember when we was on course for winning it, and we was all saying to Robbie, like, if we win it, like, you can't expect us to turn up to work. And he was like, but this will be the best place to be. And he's right. But it's also like, you want to be enjoying it. So I don't know. But I just know it'll be chaos. I know we had so many ideas, and people were just like, it'll be chaos. I can't tell you what will happen if we win the league. I don't know. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Maybe Robbie on the DJ track set, because I know you used to be a DJ.
Yeah. He's a sound man. He's a DJ and a reggae artist. Do you know what? I think there was plans of that. Saying that, Nayan, I think like there was plans of that. I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know if that was plans of that for the win in the league, or like a Christmas song. Like we was gonna do like Robbie back to rapping and me just dancing and like doing like a reggae tune with some of the. Don't worry. There'll be if we win the league, something special will be coming from AFTV. 100%. I do not doubt that.
That's great to hear. And then a question left by our last guest, Craig Hicks, who's our referee development officer.
Yeah, I think I know him. I don't know. Anyway, his name's popped up before, but anyway, go on, carry on.
He also refs in the EFL, like League 2, League 1 as well. So
right. I've done research somewhere and his name's popped up. But okay, cool.
He asked on the last podcast we did, what footballer would you change and why?
What footballer would I change and why? That is a great question. Is it a great question? I don't know, but in what sense though? Change is in what? Change what about them? What change? Oh, just change something about them, or change that they're like? Is it like a signing that's come to Arsenal that I would change that I wouldn't want, or change something about them? That's quite difficult, isn't it? I know it's not your question, so it's hard to depict. Let me think about this one. A player that I would. I don't know. Maybe. No, I don't know if I can do that. I was gonna say Marcus Rashford changed it. It was at Arsenal, but then like. I don't think that would benefit me. That would actually cause me more stress. A player that I would change and why? Maybe no, I can't do myself. I was going to say myself and change my career path, but let's go with. Do you know what? I'm going to go with Kai Havertz. You being a Chelsea fan will probably understand this one. I just think I would change him in the sense of him being as confident as he is now when he first arrived.
Yeah,
it's a small change, but the whole conversation and the confusion from Arsenal fans of when he signed was such a pain in my backside. No one understood it. He was getting fairly or unfairly criticised.
Yeah.
Ridiculously amounts online. when I was speaking to fans in person, and I just wish he just arrived as he is now. That's a big ask, but if I could change that, I would change that, because it would have given the fans more confidence in Arteta and trust. Even though I think a lot of people trust Arteta, but they would have understood, the signing straight away. It's taken a lot of time, and I still know fans are not believing in Havertz, but I think Arteta knows what he's doing. I think it will become a good signing. I'm still got my question marks, but I just wish, from when he came in at Brentford and got that goal, I wish he started there for Arsenal, with the confidence from that. So that's what I would say. Sorry.
I think, his last 2 games he's played pretty well, I guess.
Yeah, he's played well. He's played well. Yes.
So what's the future looking like for Cecil?
I couldn't tell you. Sorry. Terrible podcast answer. But I couldn't tell you. Obviously I landed from Jamaica 5 days ago. I went to Amsterdam and Eindhoven for the Arsenal game 2 days ago. I then travelled. I'm supposed to be going to Leeds tonight, and then I've got to come back for work. Arsenal versus Brighton tomorrow. Then supposed to be going to Manchester for Rashford, which obviously is cancelled now. But I haven't stopped. And people say just stop and take in, what you've done. And I think on the flight back from Jamaica, I had a little kind of reflection of realised this last 12 months have been incredible. I don't know how it gets topped. So when you're asking me what's coming to come in the future, I can't tell you, because this year has been so amazing that I don't know what can top it. I genuinely don't think something can. So whatever comes in the future, I'm just going to be grateful for, because I've had such an amazing 12 months. I've been very blessed. So what's to come in the future? Only the Lord knows. And I haven't got a plan. So I can't say to you, oh, well, this and this and this. In this podcast, I've mentioned some of the things like the Nations League Cup. I've mentioned, there'll be Sidemen events that I'll probably be at. But the last 12 months saw me do the Sidemen charity match, doing the World Cup. I've just moved into it. I've just bought a house. I'm in the house now. I'm going to miss loads. The Arsene Wenger thing, interviewing him. I met Thierry Henry this year. Just so much has happened. I don't know how we top it. So what the future looks like, hopefully just good health, inspiring more of the next generation, because the talent transfer isn't slowing down. And yeah, good health and just more success, and just hope this just continues. I don't want more, I don't want less. I just hope it just continues. So yeah.
That's great to hear that. I guess you kind of open to whatever opportunities come your way.
Yeah.
So you're on a constant go from this podcast. You have so many things going on. What drives you, and could you give an opinion? I guess not opinion, but advice for young people or of any age on how to, I guess, do what you do?
Yeah, it's hard. It's difficult, because it's hard to do what I do, because I don't really know what I do apart from presenting. Obviously, presenting AFTV is not my full-time job, but yes, I like this question. Well, first, it is Nayan, yeah? Is that how you pronounce your name?
Nayan, yeah.
So do you, from this podcast, do you aspire to be in sports media? Because you've done an amazing job in conducting this podcast, and also the research and whatnot. So I'm assuming this is what you would like to do full time, I guess, sports media, or in I don't know. Is this what you want to do?
Yeah, like marketing, sports media, but football in general, to be honest.
Nice. So the reason why I'm asking, because obviously, is because just I fell into it. So I fell into this. Obviously, a lot of it comes from, you say you watch Blood Brothers, you watch the sport, you watch what you're working in, which is a good start. So did I. I'm very open, so you got to just accept everything that you get, that comes to you. But I don't know. It's hard to give advice, because I don't know. I just feel like it's hard to give advice, because somebody, if you take it, you take it. But I've just lived my life very, very open, just taking every opportunity. I'm a very good, networker. The thing that drives me mainly, firstly, my mum. All of this is because of all of this is to repay my mother. Like, I'm a big mummy's boy. I think it's on record how big of a mummy's boy I am, and she supported me through a lot of my transitional phases and not knowing what to do in life and stuff like that. So that's the main driving force. But the second is the manager saying you'll never amount to anything more than Crawley Town. And yeah, he said some really harsh words to me, which I won't repeat on this podcast, but like, I just wanted to prove him wrong. So those are the main driving forces for what I get to do now. To kind of give advice to do what I do, it's hard to say. Like I said, just be confident, trust in yourself. Anything is possible. It's cringy as hell. What a blanket statement. Like, everyone says it. Anything is possible. That is truly the truth. Like, there's nothing I don't think I can put my mind to and not achieve. Like, generally nothing. Like, there's from a young age, I've just been like, if I want to do it, I'll do it, and I've done it. So if that is the best bit of advice, if you believe you can do it, wholeheartedly go and do it. I understand you got to live, so you might have a job, and your dream might be your hobby or your second passion. Take the leap. You'll know when the right time is to take the leap to go and do it, but take the leap, do it. And if you genuinely believe you can achieve something in what you want to do, you will do it. I say that to footballers as well. They always say, when I do talent transfer, they say, Cecil, you're telling me about all these second careers and all these other opportunities and all the things I can do, but I want to be a footballer. So I don't want to hear this. I want to be a footballer. That's all I want to do. I said, okay, if you want to be a footballer, I promise you'll be a professional footballer. You'll be a footballer. So the way I say this is, nowadays you can make a living from football. I think it's not one of the most easiest things to do, but it's quite easy. You can play non-league, earn a living, play YouTube football, earn a living. You can go abroad and earn a living. You can play up the league and earn a living. You can play down the league and earn a living. You can play so many different forms. You can coach from football and earn a living. If you want to earn a living from football and that is all you know, you will do that. And I think that's kind of, that message transcends across many other industries. If this is something you really want to do and earn a living from, I reckon you can do it. Just don't give up and put everything into it. So yeah, just if you believe you can do it, I promise you'll be able to do it. And yeah, not advice, definitely not advice, but a message I want to give. Please just be kind and the world can be harsh and there's so many things that can break you down and life is difficult, but I always try and lead with a smile and just see the brighter things and positive things to life. And of course, you can't always live life like that, but try to. I don't think it's that difficult. But I know, life can be real at times for different individuals. But please try and do that because it spreads, and I just think it's a good way to live. I really want to just say that. So yeah.
Thank you for the answer. I mean, I guess you are living proof of not to give up and just keep trying.
Yeah.
And then just one more thing before we wrap up. I always do this at the end of the podcast. Can you leave a question for the next guest? It can be anything, football or non-football related.
What would your younger self, 16 years old, say to you now? If you appeared in front of him, this is the question. If you appeared in front of him, it's not, so the normal question is, what piece of advice would you give to your younger self, right? But I think that question is a throwaway. It's an easy question to ask a guest. My question is, if you were to go back and meet your younger self, what would he say to you? And to make the question more interesting, if you was to give your younger self advice, would he take it? What would he say? What would his response be? That's what I want to know. I think that's more of I don't know. No one's asked me that, but I was thinking about it when you said, obviously before we did this podcast, to ask the next guest a question. I just thought, like, if I went back in time and saw young Cecil, who's just signed a contract at Crawley Town, and I tried to give him advice, firstly, would he take it? probably not. Genuinely, like I don't think, because the headspace I was in then, I was quite arrogant. I thought I was the man because I was a footballer, and then also, what would I say to him? So yeah, that's the question. I just think it's fascinating. It's fascinating. Like Naya, how old are you?
22.
22. Okay, cool. So okay, 22 still. Okay, so 15-year-old you, if you went back and met him, do you think would he take your advice, or what would he say to you? What sort of, like, what would he say to you? What were you like at that age? Like, what would he say to you?
I mean, I think it's 50-50. It depends what I say to myself.
Yeah. What you say?
I guess, and people who knew me, that just knew me like as Nyan, you know, they knew me as like quiet kid.
Yeah.
But the people who were friends with me knew, you know, had more than just being quiet.
Right,
But
yeah.
I guess what I'd probably say to myself is probably be more out there, especially in terms of networking, because it's just been over the last 2 years where I've actually put myself out there and I've got opportunities
Amazing.
because of that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's for me. My whole life is networking, so that's a good bit of advice. But I don't know if quiet Nayam would accept that. Would he check? Would he say? Would he be like? Would he change his life from that advice? Because if I went back in time now and met young Cecil, I would say I wouldn't give him advice. Someone asked me, yeah, what advice? I wouldn't give him advice. I wouldn't say anything. I'd probably just smile at him, or I would say, and I did interviews on. They said, well, you would say just keep going, just do what you're doing. But that wouldn't affect me. I wouldn't. I'd see him. He'd say, keep going, do what you're doing, and I promise you, that a week later, I wouldn't even be thinking about it. So that's why I always ask. I think doing it the other way is interesting. So yeah, that's the question. Sorry, I went off on a tangent then. I got into my presenter bag as well.
It's all right. I mean, that was a good question. I think the next guest, it'll be quite interesting. I'm hoping, well, it's not confirmed, but I'm hoping the person that comes on will give an interesting answer, especially because he's just represented Pakistan for the World Cup qualifiers.
Amazing.
But not confirmed.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. The energy. Hopefully it does happen. But
thank you for coming on, Cecil.
Big up.
And yep, that's the end of the podcast.
Oh, wicked. Thank you very much. Appreciate you, man. Take care, everyone. Love.